Welcome to the most fun you can have with your clothes on, except sex with your clothes on, or other things with your clothes on.
You want to start over?
Marks?
No. No. I didn't plan that one. I don't know, eating tiramisu or something like that.
I love tiramisu.
Who doesn't? Oh, psychopaths don't like tiramisu. That's
Yeah,
it.
tiramisu is fucking delicious.
Dude, tiramisu. I wish tiramisu was my dad.
Rachel doesn't like coffee, and I said to her, like,
Wow.
that's the biggest disappointment in our relationship, that you don't like
Wow.
coffee.
Well, I guess if
Yeah.
that's the
Wow.
biggest one, that's a pretty glowing endorsement of the relationship.
She didn't take it like
You
that.
were the biggest disappointment.
Ayo!
Damn.
I mean, she
Now
didn't
do you
say
want to
that,
start
yeah.
over, Rich? Now that that's been recorded?
No, that's fair. Totally fair. Welcome to Story Lords, the prompt-based fiction podcast with 2 prompts, 3 stories, and infinite laughter. I'm one of your hosts, Rich Masters, and with me, as always, are my fellow hosts, Josh Henderson
Hi, I'm here.
and Jeff Pennington.
I'm also here.
This week, our episode is Cheese and Tournaments.
As is the natural progression, once you hit episode 40 to 50, you start getting into cheese and tournaments, I
Yep.
guess.
What is that? When you hit 40, you have to choose as a man whether you're into cheese or tournaments for the rest of your life?
Cheese.
Yeah. You hit that
Cheese.
midlife crisis and you're like, I love cheese, but
Yeah.
also competing against other people.
I don't know. I went to medieval times. I think I'm in for tournaments.
Over cheese,
What?
though. Oh, wait, no, you're lactose intolerant.
That doesn't stop me from eating it literally every day.
Yeah, but if you had to pick, you'd pick tournaments, right? Just to stop your butthole exploding.
What if it's a butthole exploding tournament? Then he has to do
Wow.
Yeah.
Put
Whoever
those hands
explodes
together.
their butthole best wins the tournament.
fucking what you do.
Then I
People
need
are
the
like-
cheese.
Yeah, exactly. People are like Gallaghering in the front row in the splash zone.
Jesus.
Jesus.
Is cheese a performance enhancing drug in this scenario?
It could, yeah. If you're lactose, yeah.
The only scenario it's a performance-enhancing drug in.
I always said that in football. Like, why don't they just like have quarterbacks that have photographic memories? Like,
Get quarterbacks that are cheesed up.
blork them full of cheese and fucking make him memorize the plays. Smart.
What is this show about?
I don't know.
I've
Cheese
already
and
said.
tournaments.
So, this week, Jeff is going first. And, no, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Just take us to Spooky Vision.
Well, I
because
fucking want to hear it.
I need to hear what you were about to make fun of me about.
I was
please.
gonna say that you hated doing this story this week as much as I did, so I'm very keen to hear it.
Oh, you guys hated your stories?
It was just
Bad
really
time.
hard to write. Like, I wasn't in the funny, spooky mindset, so
I've been like the last couple of weeks. It's so hard to do anything. Like I
Yeah.
can barely fucking put pants on, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
it's because of the
think it's
giant
called
dick, though. It's in the way.
well, yeah, that and the crippling depression.
Yeah.
But
The crippling dick.
It's hot.
Dick.
It's allergy season. The
I don't
weight
have
of
any
the world
fucking.
is.
I don't have any fucking money, but people need me to have money to live.
yeah, it's stupid. It's a fucking scam.
Bad
living,
system.
The name of my
Don't
story is "There's a Snake in My Boot."
I mean, yeah.
Man. All right.
That was the quality of title I was expecting.
Yeah. Look, dude, can we like just stop and talk for a second? Or Rio's words fell on deaf ears. Only the sound of the steady, hard rain on the towers of junk and refuse that surrounded them answering his plea.
That's a better title. Steady Hard Rain. Why don't you go with that one?
Steady, hard fucking. That was so hot that it turned Josh French.
His baguette went up.
Or into Ed McMahon. Jason was too busy huffing and puffing painfully as he wrenched his body around to swing his axe through the air over and over. At this point, so completely winded that he could barely lift the thing. So it was mostly like hoisting it up and letting it fall in the general direction Rio was standing in. Rio shifted his eyes to the side awkwardly, rubbing the back of his neck as he stepped away from the oncoming strikes, such as they were, that Jason was swinging at him. Look, dude, this is kind of getting embarrassing now. Could we please just sit down somewhere out of the rain and discuss this? Fuck you, man, Jason yelled out, finally planting the metal head of the axe into the muddy ground at his feet and leaning heavily with both hands on the butt of its handle to steady himself as he caught his breath.
Needs cardio.
Just give me like 3-4 minutes tops, then I'll kill you. Hold on. I'm not standing here and letting you rest up to hit me with an axe, man. You can't figure I'm gonna do that, Rio said with consternation in his voice. This dance back and forth had been going on between them for quite some time now, but every powerful swing of that axe that Jason let fly hit nothing but open air because of Rio's incredible speed and dexterous movements. He'd had a very long time to practice staying alive against an onslaught of horrors that Jason had barely scratched the surface of at this point, so he most likely wasn't ever going to get hit at this rate.
Onslaught of Horror is another better title.
Look, you'll understand there's a snake in my boot later.
Okay.
You fucking killed my brother. Don't fucking condescend to me, roach boy, Jason spat out, leaning back and cracking his back and continuing to breathe hard the chilled air of the rainstorm surrounding them. Pretty sure I didn't, Rio returned. Like, almost positive? 70-30?
It's pretty good.
Pretty sure, Jason screamed out, hoisting his axe up and lunging at the object of his most intense hatred and rage. I'm gonna fucking gut you for that! He swung the axe and its blade swiped close enough to Rio's face to cut a swift little mark in red across his cheek, causing him to recoil away from the stinging pain. Ah, shit, dude, Rio spat out, hopping back out of the encroaching madman's attack range. I'm trying to keep cool here, man, because if I transform, neither of us is going to like the outcome.
Mm.
Oh yeah, transform then, you fucking bug fuck bitch. This axe is especially made to kill you disgusting freak shows. Burns you alive from the inside out. Jason grinned widely, his eyes dilated like when you go to the optometrist, but instead of eye drops that calls it like that, it's murderous rage and shit. You wouldn't imagine that that's what they put in the eye drops, but I guess it checks out.
It's bullshit, but I believe it.
Just tell me when your brother was killed, you fucking roid rager, Rio screamed back at him, clearly at the end of his rope with this dude. There was something about Jason that reminded him of his pre-cricket abomination days. The guy he once was, when Jeff didn't know how to write him yet. Back when he went to Henderson University, which was a joke I totally forgot about until I checked my notes for this story. Pretty fucking funny, Past Jeff.
Damn, Past Jeff, you're killing me.
God fucking damn it! It died 3 weeks ago now, and you know that as well as I do. Unless crickets can't fucking tell time, I don't know that shit, Jason screamed back.
Bees can tell time.
Spittle flying out of his mouth like a drill sergeant in a 90s cartoon. There, dumbass, Rio bellowed, pointing at Jason with a shaking finger. I was in fucking Ohio 3 weeks ago. I didn't get to Whitesville until the next week when we first met. Hell, I went to Kirby first even. Your brother was dead before I even stepped foot into Connecticut again. You lying sack of shit! I saw you on the tape in the Gestalt base we were held in. You were killing my brother in your stupid-ass Power Rangers Bugman villain form. Jason gripped tighter onto the handle of his axe, holding it close to his chest and breathing heavily now not from fatigue, but from white-hot rage. Oh yeah, it wouldn't benefit Gestalt at all to turn everyone against the guy who's been single-handedly destroying every chrysalid they produced for the past year, huh? Rio shook his head in disgust. Try thinking with your brain instead of your steroid syringe for 5 seconds, and you'll see that you're getting played like a goddamn fiddle.
I mean, I feel like that's like, this guy turns into a cricket and he's making fun of a guy for doing steroids.
Look, cricket is way stronger than steroids.
You ever half cricket?
Steroids.
Jason suddenly felt a pang of acknowledgement in the pit of his stomach. He hadn't even stopped to consider, even once, that his enemies might have lied to him to get him to give them the information they wanted. Which he was just as suddenly reminded was the whereabouts of Pavlov Flinch, What the fuck was up with that anyway? Usually people want to sleep more soundly in their own homes and thus don't want to know how close they may or may not be to such a man. But either way, he paused for a second, trying to wrap his brain around the ramifications of what he was just told. But Jason being Jason, he just screamed really loudly and started running at Rio with his axe held up above his head. I'm gonna fucking kill you anyway!
Damn, redheads.
For fuck's sake, Rio muttered under his breath, hunkering at the ready for the onslaught. But before Jason could clear the distance, the massive pile of waste and parts that loomed above them in the storm exploded with the force of a Mack truck slamming into it, sending shrapnel of metal, wood, and plastic flying in every direction with a deafening bang. Jason dove to the ground, rolling out of the way of the debris, but Rio simply stood in place, watching with wide eyes in the pouring rain as all of the pieces of shrapnel landed harmlessly around him, as if he knew somehow none of them would come close to him. In the mountain of trash's place was the slowly uncoiling body of a gargantuan snake. Its golden slitted eyes darting from one of them to the other as its flitting tongue hit rainwater and returned behind its cavernous hide lips. It lowered its head and glared directly at Rio after a moment, opening its gigantic mouth wider than even imaginable and baring its prehensile fangs within. Each one
even wider than Angelina Jolie.
Who? I gotta look this person up.
Look up Angelina Jolie, hackers.
Bearing its prehensile fangs within, each one spouting poison into the open air in intimidation. From somewhere within its deep black maw, a human voice, clear as day beside its deep reverberation, called out, "You two are starting to bore me something fierce. I was waiting for one of you to gut the other so I could have a quick meal before killing whoever was left. But you had to go and spoil that for me, Tachibana. Bad sportsmanship, in my opinion."
I love that this snake guy is talking like this. That is great.
Snake.
Like in his snake form.
Snake, I thought I killed you twice already. You're really starting to piss me off playing possum and running away like a bitch, Rio said plainly, turning away from Jason to stare down the behemoth reptile between them. Hey, don't fucking talk about me like I'm not here, Jason spat out, his pride hurting almost as much as his knees were from hitting the ground diving a moment before. Let's just say we have ourselves a little tournament, Tachibana. Single elimination if you catch my drift. Whoever survives between the two of us gets to take on the reigning champ over here. Snake twisted his gigantic serpentine body to motion towards Jason, who was struggling to his feet in the heavy mud beneath them that had accumulated from the rainstorm. Hey, fuck you, yokel! I'll kill you myself right the fuck now! Jason screamed back in frustration, slinging mud off of his axe and holding it ready at the side, down low to the ground. Rio had lost sight of the conversation by now. He'd hunkered over forward and began to convulse in the rain, his body twisting and squelching with another living being just below the surface of the skin, bone, and muscle.
I hear that.
We'll circle back to that. Tendons ripped and bones snapped and flesh rended to make way for the horror inside of me. Him, sorry.
Oh, Freudian.
We'll circle back to that.
Until eventually it burst forth fully formed and twice his size, glistening in blood and viscera that clung tightly to its carapace even in the constant downpour. Where Rio Tachibana once stood, a screeching, chittering insectoid horror now stood in its place. Snake lunged with all of his might towards the cricket man, his elongated vice-like jaws opening wide and screeching themselves as he spiraled towards him like a bullet set loose from a rifle. Until an axe came crashing down into the side of his gigantic body and stopped him in his tracks, that is. Ugh. Jason swung down with all of his might, having taken the opportunity to lunge as well, his glistening bright silver axe instantly finding purchase in the rippled scaly flesh of the once human serpent. And then glancing off of it completely harmlessly.
What?
What? Jason screamed out in absolute shock. The strike against the hard scaled skin of the snake causing him to reverberate with the force of his own hit and fall back into the mud without the axe in his grip any longer. Like when Porky Pig hits that tree with the axe, remember?
The axe handle falls off, yeah.
The haft of the weapon simply landed with a heavy thud in the mud off to the side of him a yard or two, slowly sinking into the muck. Snake barely even registered it had happened. Jason watched with disbelief on his face as the two anthropomorphic horrors slammed into each other with enough force to send a small tsunami of rainwater deflecting off of them into the air around them. Their bodies intertwined and rolled off into a large pile of metal scrap, the tower on top of it collapsing onto them with an echoing crash which shattered windows around the junkyard. As the two beasts raised back up out of the debris, Snake's long, swirling body coiled around Cricket Man's and raised him further into the air to bite at him freely. The shock and disbelief in Jason suddenly soured. The bravado, the burning rage, the desire for revenge, the lifelong self-confidence in his own strength, everything that had been driving him to dive into situation after situation with reckless abandon, melted away, leaving only a shuddering, quaking fear in his blood that made him feel deeply sick to his stomach, and began to drive him like the horseman's whip to escape as fast as humanly possible.
This doesn't sound like a redhead.
He hadn't felt fear like this in so long that the feeling was confusing at first, so foreign and strange from him that he couldn't process it. He wanted to run, he wanted to scream, he wanted to be anywhere else but here, but he sat in the mud and watched the titans as they rolled over one another, the gigantic snake crashing into the ground across the junkyard and causing another tower of stacked car parts to come crashing down on top of him. He couldn't help but remember, standing at the batter's mound, in his ill-fitting Little League uniform, and trying his best to hold his bat like his father had taught him. His father sat in the bleachers on the other side of the fence next to all the other fathers, but he didn't look like them. They wore looks of pride on their faces, bright smiles and friendly banter exchanged freely. Jason's father looked disappointed. He always looked disappointed. He tried to swing for the ball, tried his hardest, but it had hit him square in the temple instead. He had felt fear swell up in his heart as the world had spun away into darkness around him. Fear of failing his father yet again, yes. But in that moment, the last time he had felt it in his life, a deep and instinctual fear of death. He struggled to his feet in the mud once more, running as fast as he could in the slip and sludge of it. He didn't know where he was going. He could barely see through the sting of rain and the fear blinding him, but he knew he had to run. He had the presence of mind to stoop and pick up his axe, holding it against his chest as he charged around the corner of another trash pile, and ducked as tightly as he could behind a concrete pillar and overhang, which had a sign across it displaying what could be left at the dump and what had to be recycled here in processing in the front. He pressed his back into the pillar and his chest heaved. His eyes burned and his muscles ached. But more than anything, he felt an intense and unabiding disgust at the cowardice that had taken all fight from him. Okay, here goes. I'm gonna lift this big heavy weight now and make my daddy love me. Here goes, Deb said loudly, his eyes shifting around the room for any sign of Dips, the friendly skater dope ghost who had promised to help him with this to begin with. What the hell are you saying it like that for? Just lift the damn weight, Devlin Jr., Dev's dad grimaced and growled out, his hands hovering underneath the barbell he had weighed down to 200 pounds for his weakling-ass child. Yeah, here goes, Dev said under his breath, and then began to push up against the bar with his frail-ass noodle arms, which were only useful for typing code and Nickelodeon's Doug cosplaying. To the immediate surprise of everyone living in the room, the barbell lifted like it was absolutely nothing. Dev then allowed it to settle down to his chest and began to pump it up and down like I did to your mom's gigantic sweaty ass last night behind the combination Taco Bell Pizza Hut near the mall.
Wow. What a venue.
What the hell? You've been holding out on me? You can lift? Devlin Jr. said with a wide grin on his chiseled old face, upturning his 70s-ass Carlos Santana mustache. We gotta see just how strong you've got. Hold on. While Devlin Jr. hurried over to the stacks of weight plates and began to stack them up to carry them back to the bench, Dips's radiant blue-white ghostly head popped out of the middle of the barbell directly over Dev's face with a sudden, "Booyah, little bro!" causing Dev to recoil with a loud, piercing scream. What the fuck's the problem now? Devlin Jr. turned around with a grimace at his son, not seeing the apparition that he did. Nothing, Dad. Better make it a humdinger of a weight, huh? Dev said with a cheesy fake smile.
Humdinger.
Devlin grumbled something about shoving dorks into lockers and getting cheerleader ass as he turned back around to continue tallying up weight plates. Dips, Dev whispered as low as he could. You're a real lifesaver if you'll excuse the ironic expression. Why, if we keep this up, I might even win my father's musclehead affections. Loss of anger control through repeated CTE injury be damned.
Aww.
I don't think that's really the healthiest connection, bro. But whatever floats your little dweeby boat, my man. Dip said with a shrug of his non-corporeal shoulders in and out of the barbell he possessed. I didn't know you could possess objects, though, Dev continued to whisper. What other special abilities or supernatural powers do you have that you haven't told us about yet? No clue, little dude, Dips returned nonchalantly. I'm gonna guess whatever the story happens to need me to be able to do. He then turned to look directly at you, yes, you, listening to this right now, and gave you a gigantic cartoonish wink. His hand popped up out of the barbell and gave you a big old thumbs up to go along with it.
Dipsis S Machina.
A circular logo then irised in on top of him that said, Dips will be right back after these messages in big yellow letters around it.
Damn, I love this show.
Jason had mostly caught his breath by now and had closed his eyes as he pressed tightly back against the concrete pillar. What the fuck is up with this axe? It just stopped working altogether now? He stared, shaking at the useless hunk of metal at the end of a stick he had thought would bring him revenge. He felt its empty weight in his hands and wallowed in his fear. He remembered the day he'd swore he'd never be afraid again. He and Archie were camping when a storm just like this one had kicked up, and they hadn't accounted for. The wind and rain tore their tent to shreds, and Archie was terrified that they were going to die in the middle of the woods alone. Truth be told, Jason felt that same fear grip at him and rend his mind from action. But when he saw the terror in his little brother's eyes, he knew from that moment on that he had no other choice than to never be afraid again. For Archie. He had led them out of the woods and back home, seeing the relief on his little brother's face as they came up the street they lived on, and he began to recognize he was safe and sound. That had rewired Jason's brain forever. As the wind and rain beat down on him now in his little hiding spot, he took a deep breath in and let a deep breath out. The sound of metal rending and flesh tearing and monsters screeching echoed in the distance. But as he opened his eyes again, he could feel the iron return to his blood. For Archie, he whispered to himself. He looked around, peering from his hiding spot as far as he could see in one direction and the other, and then he finally saw exactly what he'd been looking for. He ducked out of his hiding spot and ran low and fast against the ground across the causeway into the distance to his quarry. He climbed up the gigantic metal treads on one side of the behemoth machine and stopped beside the small entrance door to its driver's seat. Trying the door handle, he found it locked, and grimaced at the obviousness that would be the case. But he did come to a decision pretty quickly about fixing that as well. He drew his axe back and slammed the blunt end of it into the reinforced glass of the door, cracking it inward a little. Another swing, another swing, another swing, and as fatigue began to burn at his muscles, the window fully gave way and popped out of its frame, clattering to the floorboards inside. He climbed inside and began to power the massive machine on. He'd worked construction 2 summers during his graduating year of high school and during his freshman year of college, so he knew everything he needed to know to do the one thing he wanted to do with this gigantic piece of heavy machinery, the excavator.
Drop it on the thing.
It powered to life loudly, and the sounds of carnage between the 2 gigantic beasts was loud enough that he knew neither of them would even notice. He threw the beast into gear after a few accidental missteps and began to lumber its massive weight forward under the power of its unbelievably large smog-blasting engines. By this point, it would have been absolutely impossible for the fighting chrysalids not to notice the excavator heading towards them. CinemaSins told me so. So the two of them turned their wild, bloodlusted beast eyes towards the massive piece of heavy machinery and screeched out a horrifying sound incomprehensible to human ears. Jason, stop! Rio's voice echoed out of Cricket Man's open, chittering maw from deep within the same way that snakes had earlier, but Jason paid it absolutely no mind. Snake tightened his grip around Cricket Man's body, squeezing the life out of him as he turned his gigantic open maw towards the excavator. He lunged wildly forward, his massive fangs bared, and bit down hard onto the roll cage of the machine, finding it just reinforced enough to catch his jaw and cause him to gag for a moment, just like your mom did last night when I gave her the full chalupa behind the combination Taco Bell Pizza Hut, except it was just for a moment because I don't come that fast. Don't ask your mom about it.
Gave it the Jeff excavator.
But that moment was sound nice. Sorry. But that moment was all Jason needed. He threw the lever in front of him down as hard as he could, causing the gigantic heavy metal claw of the excavator to slam itself down, open and baring its serrated teeth into Snake's scaled long body, right where he had wrapped himself around Cricket Man. The loud, deafening schlorp of the excavator's claw driving itself into the horrendous beast's flesh and then forcing itself all the way through into the ground below it was almost loud enough to be heard over the howling, screaming screech that Snake let out as his body was split in half by the force. Jason snapped the claw shut, enveloping both Snake's torso segment, bleeding in waves of disgusting viscous purple blood, and the trapped body of Cricket Man inside of it, and then locked the mechanism inside in place so it would provide the perfect, inescapable prison. Snake, for his part, was still screeching bloody murder, bashing and smashing what was left of his long-scaled body wildly in every direction, knocking over piles of debris and smashing into mountains of trash, before finally slowing down, sloughing off the metal roll cage of the excavator it had been holding onto this entire time, and crashing down to the ground with a reverberating slam. Then, finally, as the rain slowly began to die down, all was still in the morning air for just a moment. Jason slumped back into the uncomfortable old leather seat of the heavy machine, throwing an arm over his forehead and resting against the back of the headrest. Fuck, he muttered to himself. But the silence was soon broken by the telltale sound of police sirens in the distance.
Oh. The worst beast.
Yeah, Jason grimaced, sitting up again. Yeah, fucking course. The roll cage had been warped enough by the force of Snake's bite that it was easy enough to crawl out of now, but the climb back down to the ground didn't prove as simple. Still, Jason escaped the carnage he had created and started the long, limping jog back to Dev's house. 800 pounds, Devlin Jr. cried out in disbelief, his hands slapping the side of his face and elongating his shocked grimace as he wiped them down his cheeks. That's not humanly possible, goddammit! What kind of super freak are you?
Oh, no.
You could have been the entire Buffalo Bills by now! Why didn't you tell me? Well, Pops, you didn't ask, Dev grinned from ear to ear.
Oh, my God.
His wobbly little stick arms pumping the barbell up and down like it weighed absolutely nothing. Mostly because to him, it did. I'm flabbergasted. I'm bamboozled. I'm genuinely pretty freaked out, Devlin Jr. sputtered. Oh, that's nothing, dear old dad of mine. Check this little trick out that I learned from watching the non-disgusting parts of Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, the parts where he's not oogling titties or talking about coming, Dev called out. Taking one hand off the barbell and reaching over to the small snack table next to the weightlifting stand. He calmly took out a cracker from the sleeve, spread a little bit of mustard on it, and then placed a piece of cheese and a slice of salami on it, and then reached back and slipped it into his mouth nonchalantly. Delicious, but not because it has cheese. I don't have any special relationship with cheese, because I'm an original character and not any other pre-existing IP about a young black super nerd. Devlin Jr. swooned a little, his head light, and leaned down to place his hand on top of the barbell that Dev was holding up so lightly. Okay, give me that damn thing. I know you gotta be pulling one of your basement virgin tricks on me. Like when you tried to tell me the vaccine didn't make you into a human magnet.
Oh, no.
But when
it's the CTE.
Hopefully he'll die. Hopefully the weight will crush him to death.
But then Devlin Jr. yanked the barbell from Deb, stumbling back a step. He caught himself just in time for the barbell's weight to suddenly dawn on him, and he instantly rolled backwards, the bar slamming into his forehead and his back slamming into the ground afterward, knocking him out fucking cold. Cold as your mama's front butt when she thinks about your real dad, who, by the way, isn't the guy you think it is. It's a dude named Frank from Sacramento. Don't look him up. He's not going to love you any more than the guy pretending to be your dad did.
Oh, wow.
Holy crap! Dev cried out, leaping up from the bench and running over to try and yank the barbell off of his dad's chest to no avail, the 800 pounds having come back to its full weight by this point. Whoa, that's a real bummer, dude. Dad's out colder than the reception to a new Pauly Shore movie, dude, Dip said while shaking his head. Is that topical still? Get the weight off him, Dips! Dev screamed, balling his fists at his side. Oh yeah! Dips swirled up into the air and fired off into the barbell, his luminescence surrounding it as he disappeared inside it. The barbell raised up from the ground and floated in the air back to the rack, laying itself down gingerly onto the metal rungs. Is he? Dev asked, clutching his hands together and looking around nerve-wracked. Dips popped back into being and looked from side to side at Devlin Jr. for a moment, rubbing his chin before he raised his ghostly shades up and looked once more. Nah, he's chill. He's just knocked himself out and whatnot. No worries, little dweebus. He didn't knock himself out. You knocked him out. Why didn't you help him lift the weight when he was trying to lift it? Dev cried out, wildly gesticulating. I thought I was supposed to be hiding from your parents. That's what you all told me, dude. You can't blame me for following orders. Dip scratched at his chin for a moment. I feel like I learned that's a bad excuse in history class once. All right, my bad, dude. I'm totally apologetic, my guy. Dev was just staring down at his dad, rubbing the back of his head and sweating idly. Let's go get my thumb drive and get out of here before he wakes up. Mondo prudent, bro. Dips nodded sagely. Oh my God. Jason arrived at the car outside of the Durwood home first. He leaned against the back of it and breathed heavily in and out. He hadn't felt this run down and beaten up in his life that he could remember, at least not physically. But he didn't get to spend long thinking about it before the garage door opened and Dev and Dips exited. Dev carrying an umbrella and Dips being a dead-ass ghost and whatnot, so neither of them getting wet. Holy cow, are you okay, Jason? Dev called out, running over to him. Yeah. I'll tell you everything on the road. We gotta get the hell out of here. Where are TK and Alyssa? Jason said evenly, rubbing his face with his palm. But before either of them could speculate, the front door opened, and exactly those two people walked out. Pretty goddamn convenient for the story, but still believable, Cinema Sins.
The script had it in there.
Without saying a word, TK walked around to the other side of the car and slid into the back seat of the passenger side, her arms crossed and her body slumped down in her seat. Is she all right? Dev asked anxiously. Just get in the car, Alyssa said coldly. Tell me where we're going and we'll go. I guess I'm just a fucking driver now. Dev and Jason exchanged looks before Dev got into the front passenger seat and Dips apparated his ghostly dead ass into the car as well. Who knows where that dude's staying? Maybe the ghost car dimension. Who even knows? Alyssa stepped up to the driver's side door and looked Jason up and down before upturning her lip. There's a tarp under the seat. Throw that down before you get in at least. And then she ducked in as well. Jason took one last look down the road towards the half-destroyed old junkyard he'd left behind. For Archie, he repeated to himself. The end.
Hey!
Nice.
I like your Monster Mash
great.
episodes.
Yeah.
Your monster fights.
Yeah.
And I like the parts where you fucked my mom behind a Taco Bell Pizza Hut combination.
Yeah,
store.
I'm classy. It's not Taco Bell or Pizza Hut. It's the combination. She can get whatever she likes.
Yeah. Your choice, lady.
Which is your dick and jizz? I don't know.
It's my cock and balls and jizz.
Nice.
That was great. That was really good. They're always really good.
Thank you
so I don't
very
know.
much. I'm keenly aware of the fact that, like, there's got to be a contingent of people who listen to this show who are like, science fiction, that checks out. All right, fantasy, that checks out. What about this is fucking horror? This is just an action movie.
That's
There's always a bit of action to horror movies, right?
yeah.
I guess my question is, like, is Alien a horror movie?
Yeah, it's a horror.
is Predator
it's a
a
horror
horror
sci-fi.
movie?
Yeah,
Sci-fi horror.
Terminator.
Yeah, they're pretty.
These are all
horrifying.
considered action films by.
Yep,
Well, that's like the question, right? Like, people act like the only way something can be considered horror is if you're afraid of it. Mm-hmm. But, like, what about horror for kids? Like, you're not afraid of Are You Afraid of the Dark? But what else is that show?
I mean, I'm not. Like, definitely,
Yeah.
I'm not. so
Josh told
we're
me he
not,
wasn't.
like,
yeah,
many
you're not
times.
afraid
We're
of
not gonna-
Zebo the Clown.
we don't have to watch it though because I've seen
Yeah,
them all
yeah,
of
like
course.
so many times.
It's really-
but I'm not afraid.
It's really the powder going in the fire that scares you, isn't it? That's why we can't watch it. What's that? Is
Well-
that the Midnight Club thing?
Yeah, that's
Midnight
that's-
Society.
that's the right
Yeah.
show. You got
Yeah. I couldn't remember which one it was. There's 3 shows like
Midnight
that.
Club.
It's the Midnight Society.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
And then they did Midnight Club, which was just a Midnight Society, but
Yeah.
everybody's gonna die.
Yeah.
and then there was Spooky Squad, which was better than all of them, I think.
You mean the characters in my story?
Yeah, that's the new Spooky
Yeah.
Squad.
That's true. Legally distinct from the Spooky Squad.
The Spooky Squadron.
The new Spooky
There's-
Squad.
There's a guy who walks up and down my street like it's 1984, blasting a jam box.
Hell
so-
yeah.
Reggae,
I don't know what
Reggae
he's playing
Shark.
today. Reggae Shark.
He's playing Fight the Power.
Who is
And he's
it?
got love and hate on gold things on his knuckles.
What?
What?
Radio Free Raheem from Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, do the right thing.
Anyway,
He's doing the wrong.
this is Radio
It's not
Raheem,
the
I think,
neighborhood.
but that was my story, and I had a very hard time with it. So please be nice to me, thank you.
Is this the first time we found out that Rio can like talk?
Yes.
Like
This
he's
is
got
the first
he's
time we
smart
found out
Hulk.
that any of them can talk.
Yeah,
Smart Hulk.
yeah.
Well,
Like, he's
actually,
not-
I think Miller talked before.
Yeah, but like Rio, it's definitely
Yeah.
the first time that because I couldn't remember if he'd done because he's obviously shown signs of intelligence before. He's not
Yeah.
like the hulking madman he was when he turns, but I didn't know if he still retained like the ability for proper cognition or it was.
Yes.
This is a comedy podcast. I'm going to shut up.
No. It's important to the story that you understand this.
Yeah,
He
but-
does have cognition in this form now, like ever since he was reborn.
Yeah.
I always just thought he kind of just got better at being a cricket man.
He definitely has.
like you just
he
like after your
practiced.
10th turn, you're like, oh, this old
He
thing.
practiced being a cricket man.
I'm going to ask a question which you're fully entitled to say sharp, Rich, to. Don't do it anyway. I want to know if I can
Oh, okay.
know.
All right.
Is he able to completely control the transformations, or are some linked
Seems
to
like it.
Mostly.
stress and anger?
Like,
Right.
you know how, like, Smart Hulk is actually a pretty good
Yeah.
comparison, right? Because, like, if he gets too mad, he starts to lose his ability to control it. That's sort of the way that being
I
a
just know that
chrysalid
his cousin
works.
is twerking Hulk. And I'm into it.
Twerking cricket man.
Twerking
There's a-
cricket woman is
Yeah,
coming.
cricket woman.
Lady Cricket Man is her name, actually.
Nice,
Cricket man.
nice.
Boy Zelda Cricket.
But no, I appreciate the questions mean you have interest in the story, which I appreciate.
Rio's my favorite character this season.
Ah, thank you. He's like the most action movie character out of the whole cast.
Wrong opinion. It's Dev.
Dev
Okay.
he really is the action movie character who's like, we need to use the quantum entanglement in order to bypass
Your
their
bra
hacker
bomb
computer
better
systems.
work, nerdlinger.
And then Jason says, say it in English.
yeah.
All right, let's take
Mr. President.
let's take a break, and we'll be right back for part 2.
Or will we?
I hope so.
yeah.
Plan my whole day around this.
Well, welcome to part 2. You can't do stuff like that. It makes me laugh
Why?
too much.
That's why we're here.
This is a comedy
Dingleberry.
podcast, Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we haven't told the fucking joke. It's just the punchline that comes through.
They can laugh. They just are laughing because we're having a good time.
Okay, all right. Well,
They're
prepare
happy that we're happy.
prepare for that to end because it's Rich's story.
Come on.
Come on.
Do a good intro. I'll do an entry for yourself.
Yeah,
now
do
it's
one.
the
Yeah.
master of storytelling, the man with the master's pieces. It's
Nice.
Rich Master.
Damn.
I could have done that
He's
for so much
going.
longer.
I thought,
Rich, you're
I thought
better
you-
than Shakespeare, whoever
Oh,
that guy
thanks.
even was.
Thanks. Well, in true Shakespearean style, my episode this week is called "Say Cheese and Fuck Off."
Hey, would you like to maybe get some of your own ideas? and
Oh
stop
no,
stealing
are you
mine for once?
kidding? Okay, all right.
I agree.
It's very
Okay.
similar.
You guys stop hive minding and leaving me out, goddammit.
We're trying to hive mind with you, but you're all like, I'm asleep and I don't want to astral project with my friends.
Who's telling me about Lego? I'm signing off.
What
He's
time?
like, I'm watching a trailer. Stop talking.
Yeah, I didn't say stop talking. I said shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I PG'd it up for our audience.
Yeah, we don't want to curse on this podcast.
We don't want to fucking curse.
Yeah, not for the kids. We don't want to make it so they
Yeah.
can't listen. Floor goes right. Before I start this, I'm going to say that it's really important that we remember that the last time we saw Kellen in
And-
terms of
yeah.
narrative, she was escaping that terrible hell dimension that
And
Florgo
Florgo was an incel.
Florgo is an incel, a horrible incel, and Malcolm the dog has brought him back to life.
I
Okay.
don't like the dog.
Oh, well.
I love the dog.
Florgo strode into the Greywood's office in a house once belonging to the deceased Etty Amray with all the swagger and excitement of Richard Gere at a small pet shop.
That's a reference.
I think that's the third Richard Gere reference I've made this season, and I'm down for
Somebody's
it.
got to carry that torch, man.
As Lady Greywood spread jam, yeah, I don't care what you call it. I'm British, I'm not fucking Google Translate, don't at me.
jelly.
I genuinely couldn't give a shit.
we
I
also
will
call-
kill you, bro!
Jesus. All right.
We call it jam too.
Yeah, we also call it jam.
Okay, good. On a piece of toast. Florgo placed the head of the pillar of a lemur named the Wheel on her husband's desk, leaking blood all over his wartime maps. New paperweight for you. Careful, it rolls. Did she know anything about Kellen's location, Grawp? Jeeran Greywood raised an eyebrow. Or did you even question her before you chopped this one's head off? I remind you again, it's Florgo now. I remember what was done to me. Florgo glared coldly. I asked you damn questions. If you want, I can go get a fucking Ouija board and you can ask her yourself.
What?
This one was hiding in the 1960s, trying to combat free love and drugs with her religious nonsense. I found her hiding out in a church. Lady Greywood winced, disgusted. You killed her while she was praying. I think I liked you better when you were a rhyming little goblin. Florgo smiled. It was only a shame she wasn't sleeping or taking a shit or something. Look, you wanted them dead, they're dead. Is it better for your conscience if we give her some sort of hopeless delusion of getting away? Now, what do you want me to do next? The Greywood shared a look that said this new psychotic Florgo might become a problem. We tried to recall the word and the wrath, but they aren't responding. Probably wise to our plans now, Jeeran said. The more of them I kill, the more attuned I am to the rifts. Thanks to Kellen opening one up inside of my body. I'll find the word and the wraith, wherever they're hiding in time. Then I'll find your little Lady Kellen. No, Lady Greywood said, as she took a bite of her breakfast. Kellen and her reprobates are causing enough problems in the timeline as it is. Just this morning we observed a timeline where Harry Potter was a well-written book and not a propaganda engine with nothing but copy-paste ideas and badly concealed racism. Can you believe it?
No.
Can you believe it?
This golden thread, this prime timeline is becoming untethered. You're likely to do more damage if you start fighting her. Florgo laughed. How could you two old coffin dodgers know that?
Nice.
They turned to him and smiled, their faces shifting as if a mask previously imperceptible to Florgo had fallen off. They weren't the Greywoods anymore. They were completely different people entirely. Younger, more vibrant, wearing lab coats. Because we're the ones that caused this mess in the first place. I'm Dr. James Kendall, and this is my wife and fellow chronophysicist, Dr. Big Sue Campbell. We're time travellers, Florgo. We developed the Rift technology. Yeah, all the way from
since episode 1.
Yeah.
We developed this Rift technology and used it to fuck around and make ourselves rich and powerful in any timeline or reality we lay our hat or Sue's giant strap-on in.
What?
Usually, every timeline we live in eventually destroys itself due to the natural order wanting to expel us, but being ultimately unable to. We use various methods to scope out future escape routes and set them up years in advance. So it was never an issue to us. Big Sue demolished the last of her toast and went on. So when a timeline is about to rip itself to shreds, we just move along. But after we arrived here, this prime timeline, something happened to the Omniverse. Some great shift where the forces of entropy and potential were somehow and statistically impossibly put completely in balance. And then we found we couldn't rift out again, as if our abilities had been cauterized. All we can do is go back to the start of our time here. That's why we tell you not to worry about Kellen. Florgo shook his head. Look, this is supposed to be a comedy story. This rampant exposition makes everyone A, sleepy, and B, thinking you're out for a Pulitzer because they want more pee-pee-poo-poo jokes.
I mean, you did win that Pulitzer
I
for
did.
those pee-pee-poo-poo words.
This motherfucker trying to win a Pulitzer. Downvote.
Why should we not worry? Dr. Kendall smiled. Because, my friend, Kellen always comes back. Just before the end of the universe. Kellen sat at the breakfast table, just as a sullen Asher pulled her school bag off the chair and stormed towards the door. Wait, Ash, Kellen called, as Ash rolled her eyes and turned around. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean to imply that doom metal was a phase you were going through. I shouldn't dismiss your interests simply because I think they're simply not something I enjoy. Ash bit her lip, every part the surly 16-year-old goth, her black lipstick reflecting the halogen kitchen lights. You've been a grade A bitchzilla these past few weeks, you know that? If you're in one of your funks, why don't you just get out of the house, go get your running shoes on and go for a jog or something? Hey, young lady, that is an anti-Kellen word we don't use in this house. What, bitch? No, jogging. Kellen shook her head and forced a $10 bill into Ash's hand in lieu of lunch and patted her shoulder. Look, I'm just tense. Anniversary of escaping that hell dimension, a Florgo. I just can't shake the feeling something's going to happen, like a giant crocodile or a demon, or maybe something unoriginal like Robo Hitler for a third time.
Hey, give the audience
what they want.
Pulitzer.
Ash sighed and put a hand to her sister's. Look, you've changed the past, sis. Maybe that stuff doesn't need to happen anymore. It's been like 10 years. You've built a life for us here. Just enjoy it. She picked up her bag and ran to wait for the bus. Let sleeping dogs lie, she called back. Incredibly poor choice of words, came a voice from the shadows.
Oh no.
As a demon dog on 4 bent out of shape legs came trotting out. Oh, Malcolm, Kellen sighed. Coffee, kibble, child's soul to chew on. A rift tore open and a twin-engine Lockheed 10 Electra tore through the hole in space and came to an immediate landing on the field. Oryx and Humie stepped out of the plane and looked at each other, the crocodilian shaking his head as he stripped off the aviation uniform he was bursting out of. I feel our pact to stay out of history's way has not really been honoured here, Humie.
Fucking Amelia Earhart.
Humie looked up, dressed in a woman's aviator's uniform with a blonde wig on. The rift was over the Pacific. We needed a way through. Not all of us are so seaworthy. I rust like most other humans. My navigator.
Oh my god.
Can we fire Hume for that joke?
1 Pulitzer, please.
Next time, I'll choose the names. A pilot called Earhart is a little derivative, don't you think? Oryx said, suddenly noticing that Hume's attention was somewhere else. He turned to find them surrounded by families dressed all in black. Settlers, in black hoods and white lace, standing with pitchforks and shovels and scythes. They stared at the intruders with red eyes. Hume, where or when are we? My temporal sensors suggest 1580s Earth, Hume declared. The total theft of North America by the Europeans from those native to these lands. Hume looked at the camera long and hard.
Oh my god.
These people look extremely agitated for people who have just gotten away with wholesale land larceny. Oryx looked back, realising that the plane was parked on a piece of wood. He tore it from the wheel and held the sign in front of him. Roanoke, he muttered, before looking
I see.
before looking at Hume, who shrugged. One settler lunged at Hume. Croatoan, he said in a low guttural voice. You must be mistaken, sir. My name is Hume, Hume dodged, as the others approached, mumbling the same word. Though I don't think this is simply a case of mistaken identity. Still just sitting, eh? Malcolm walked on hind legs to the table in that weird way that cats do that make them look like some sort of Soviet-era mech.
What?
Have you never seen a cat walk on its hind legs?
I've never seen a Soviet-era mech, though.
Oh, they just look like terrible robots on pin legs.
Soviet era mech. I'm looking at.
Oh, you mean like the little robots, the little wind-up robots and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like when someone says
Not like
mech,
full
I think of
mechs.
Gundam.
Yeah, they secretly had that. That's why the Cold War ended. Obviously.
Yeah, America was like, fuck that. You win, I guess.
We're done. We can't compete with that.
Is this some sort of depressive episode, or are you getting into your sweats and daytime television period? Kellen watched the dog. Something about this weird talking lizard dog thing that made her stomach turn. What was it? Oh yes, it was that he was a weird talking lizard dog thing.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
Listen, I told you, Malcolm, I'm not going back. As he pulled himself up to a sit at the table, he sent a long tongue out to the fruit bowl and pulled a banana into his mouth, swallowing it whole, peel and all. A long trail of viscous drool slathered over the table, but he noticed Kellen's look of disgust. Oh, drool is too much for you, but killing billions in a time jaunt around the multiverse is fine. Excuse me, Duchess. He's
Fucking Jar Jar stink over here.
We sucked the drool up like a strand of spaghetti. Is this the next?
It's worse than the shit splash zone.
This is the second act of that performance. Is this the next tall tale in an effort to convince me to go back home? Kellen smirked. You've tried everything, Malcolm. Promises, threats. That day you did that weird interpretive dance. Hey, you said that was quirky, Malcolm exclaimed. Look, I was trying to be nice, Kellen smiled. I've got a real chance here to keep Asha from turning into some sort of Russian-speaking killing machine away from demons raising her. At the expense of how many exactly? Malcolm's long tongue licked his lips. Kellen tapped the table with her fist. I don't care. I might be a simple omnidimensional eldritch nightmare dog.
Pulling on his suspenders.
But that seems extremely unlikely as unlikely as an honest man in Congress, Malcolm said.
Damn.
Got him.
Topical.
The reason you're here is entirely because you care too much about your people, about your friends, your family. Last week I watched you cry because you ran out of cheese. An entirely understandable human response, Kellen said.
True.
Also, ding.
I'd agree with you there, kid. If an I got a weakness, it's a bit of cheese, just like any other hound dog or eldritch abomination. Look, Malcolm, I want an easier life. It's too much weight on one person's shoulders. Malcolm put his paws together and rotated his dew claws over each other.
Ugh.
A bull hockey and fiddlesticks, kid. Oh, look, I'm a duchess with everything I ever wanted, who at the first sign of hardship buckles at the knees quicker than a $5 hooker or the average listener's mother.
What's the difference?
I wouldn't mind.
$5.
$5, yeah. I wouldn't mind, but it's not you suffering. The whole omniverse is collapsing. The omniverse I live in, an omniverse of killing and suffering and sausages. I'll miss all those things.
Sausages.
Kellen pinched the bridge of her nose, feeling a headache coming along. If you care so much, why don't you go and sort it out? Oh, I am. Malcolm filed his sharp talons with the underside of his tongue, which was rough and grooved. I gave you a chance. You turned me down. I only ask so many times, and then I tend to just tip the board over and smash all the pieces like a little kid when they lose. Either that, or I empower a tyrannical demon-hopping Skeletor Dr. Doom hybrid to destroy the entirety of creation. I'm such a full tilt diva. Anywho...
Full tilt diva.
That's a shirt, man.
Yeah, Malcolm on the front, full tilt diva above it.
He's doing his nails with his tongue. It's just full tilt diva.
Yep.
Anywho, I didn't come to have our usual battle of wits. I found another champion to rectify the imbalances you caused. Your old pal Florgo can do it for me. Kellen narrowed her eyes. You can't. He's not himself. He's so full of anger and rage, he'll destroy everything. So what? Look, kid, I don't give a good dog damn whether life continues or not. Just that the whole universe doesn't explode. You don't want to do it, so I gave Florgo the keys to existence, and let me tell you, that boy is a man with a fork in a world full of soup. He's gonna burn it all down.
Is that a saying?
No.
It's a saying now.
Good, yeah.
It's how I feel every day of my life.
Yeah, right?
Either way, I get what I want. Reset to the status quo. No, I won't let you. I'll do it. I'll go back, Kellen begged. No, you won't, Malcolm smiled. You'll stay exactly where you are. Out of the way. Hume stepped out of another portal, Oryx holding a rifle, while his friend... Wait a minute. Hume stepped out of another portal... Delete. Holding a rifle, while his friend was dressed as a Dallas police officer. Oryx was covered in blood, though Hume could barely see him in the pea soup of a fog, barely registering the sound of bells in the wind. I assured you I could make that bullet curve with simple magneton generators, Hume said, matter-of-factly.
No!
I am what the informed would call a bad motherfucker, brap brap. That was onomatopoeia, Oryx. Oryx frowned. Surely the crack shot that you are could have avoided the trajectory that coated me with another's blood. He used his clawed hand to wipe viscera off his uniform. I did, but I thought it would be humorous, Hume said unemotionally. He let his stabilisers kick in and he corrected himself so as not to fall on the rocking floor. Do you think the humans will ever know their president was simply a meat puppet with a small alien piloting him? Oryx muttered, wafting his hand to see better in the fog.
Where's that story?
I feel like we're really missing out here.
Yeah.
Hume shook his head, then took a step, oak creaking underfoot. No, I'll assume not. But I have a question for you. Do you think there is any risk forming of, due to us having these largely off-camera, super entertaining adventures, that there might be something playing out elsewhere that is largely boring and exposition-laden to get our story back on track after 10 weeks of time-hopping hijinks?
Wow.
Oryx took another step and slammed into a rail. He felt the other side of the ledge, where he felt a metal nameplate. The Mary Celeste. That seems Very dubious, Oryx said, as a thick tentacle wrapped around his waist. Meat for the drowned god, the mammoth sea creature spluttered as it lifted its maw out of the water, its gargantuan tentacles all rising in the wind. Hume stepped forward, knocking over a stack of harpoons. He picked one up and turned to the monster. I'm going to send you back to Davy Jones, you hideous calamari beast.
We're learning so much about history today.
I don't get it, said Kellen. You wanted me to go back. You finally convinced me to give up a chance at normality, and then you say no? Ain't I a stinker? Malcolm smirked.
My favorite guy.
His large fangs glint in the light back at Kellen. Lunging across the table, Kellen went to attack him, but he slithered away around the table. He laughed, howled. Grab me? Was that your grand plan? I'm a god, for hell's sake. Not your kindergarten boyfriend. What were you going to do? Noogie me? Maybe gimme a mean swirly? I need to go back, and you're not going to stop me, Kellen said, opening a rift where Malcolm was, but he was gone. She felt a panting at her shoulder suddenly, before his tongue wrapped around her neck and threw her across the room. Gods, you're so annoying. You ain't never happy, girl. This way, you get to stay hidden away and play happy families with your sister. And all it costs you is everything else you ever knew, every friend you had, and any answers you ever wanted about your real parents. He put a taloned lizard paw to his expression of mock surprise, causing Kellen to stop dead in her tracks. Oopsie, did I say that?
Oh, man.
He pulled a piece of paper from behind her ear, party magician style. Maybe the next step in getting your answers is on this scrap of paper. And maybe, if you sit still and let what's gotta happen, I'll give it to you at the end. Consider it a closing text crawl for the end of your world. Kellen shook her head. No, you don't know that. Nobody does. Nobody could. Nobody except maybe a god? Malcolm smirked. You're no god, you're just another mangy mutt. Kellen pulled a small, yellow cube from her pocket and threw it into the air. She watched as Malcolm's nose twitched and his eyes closed. He wafted in the air after the yellow cube like Pepe Le Pew on his way to sexually assault a cat with white paint on it. Or frat boys sniffing out your horny sex-starved mother before they never call her again.
Damn, good for them.
If an I got a weakness, it's a bit of cheese. It's a bit of cheese. Bit of cheese. The echo was almost tangible in the room, and who could say it wasn't? And not just because you all need reminded of the throwaway line I used to shoehorn this prompt in this week. With Malcolm following his treat, Kellen opened rift after rift in the room, so many that even he couldn't dodge them. He was instantly severed in two, thick black viscous blood oozing out of the open wound. Both parts dropped to the floor and hissed and spat like a dying monster. You cut me in two! You know how hard it's going to be for me to find one of those little doggy jackets that fit now, and winter is coming, man! You could have at least old yelled me like a regular human being. She snatched the piece of paper from his paw and opened it. It said simply a time and a place. A crackle of electricity stood her hair on end as a rift opened before her. The realisation of what she was leaving behind hit her, but she knew that Ash would know what to do to keep herself safe. Still, fuck him for making her do this. With one last fury-filled look at Malcolm, she stepped through the portal. After she was gone, Malcolm sat up and beckoned his lower half towards him and watched as his back end knitted itself back into his front. Neato, he said with a sick smile.
Neato.
Oryx stepped through another portal in full Scottish regalia, kilt and sporran flapping in the desert wind. Behind him, Hume had fashioned a large dinosaur head to cover his own. All right, I'll admit it. This one even I couldn't see a reason for, Hume said. Oryx shook his head. Does a species that thinks a full-size plesiosaur can hide in 50 square kilometres of water even deserve saving?
Oh my god.
Hughie pressed a button on his chest plate and small sunglasses were prepared in his 3D printer. He passed a pair to Oryx before fitting his own, then looked into the desert sun. Still, fun though. More enjoyable than anything else occurring parallel to our predicament, I would wager. Well, if they want excitement, they should really give me more feedback, shouldn't they? Oryx said, completely stone-faced and unambiguously. Hughie!
That's in universe, everybody. Don't get upset.
Hughie, why didn't you let me be Nessie? You lack the gravitas for such a performance, Hughie said, as they walked into the distance towards...
But he is a sea monster!
Towards a vast set of tents that were erected for what looked like a vast sporting event. The clanging of sword and shield rang out above the roaring of the crowd as Kellen stepped through the portal to emerge behind a tent. Elima, Megadeth Plains, Fallow Tournament, the note had said. Competitions such as these
named
were
after
only
the band?
Yep. Competitions such as this were only held at occasions of great importance. Maybe her real parents were here. Maybe they were competing. Maybe they were judging. Either way, she needed to get some attention from the higher-ups. I'm telling you, Lucella, that if that sword isn't in my hand soon, I'm gonna pull you off your skin and use your spine as a sword. A large-set man barked at his page from a bench outside the beer tent that had been set up, swilling ale from a tankard made from the skull of his former page. You're too smashed to fight, you impotent little turd, Lucella whispered as she pulled the tournament entry slip from the bag as she looked for the weapon she knew he had lost yesterday when he had tried juggling to show off to a passing maiden's carriage before cutting his finger off and throwing the sword into a ravine in a fit of rage. The only sword you can put in your hand is that shrewd little dick of yours. Lord Dankfoot stink-eyed the page. What did you just say, girl? Lucella mock saluted. I said, you'll smash the opposition, you hunkly stud of a lord, you. Your prowess on the field is only matched by your prowess in your many sexual conquests beds. Lucella said, True. Before turning back to her bag and catching the eye of Kellen. You're damn right you did, slurred Dankfoot. Are you okay? Kellen whispered. I won't be in about half an hour, Lucella sighed. This walking advert for birth control always does this. He enters tourneys, gets blind drunk, then his page has to fill in. He's gone through more pages than J.K. Rowling trying to justify her inherent racism.
Oh, I love when she catches a stray.
They're all fucking aimed at her. I don't think there's any strays.
I'm going to be crushed in about 5 seconds. Only the toughest enter these sorts of tourneys. I don't even know who we're fighting because of these secret ballots. It could be, I don't know, Angus McPagefucker for all I know. Kellen saw her chance. I'll stand in for you. Lucella's head jerked back in surprise. Why? Why would you do this for someone you don't even know? If I win, I'll get close to the people that matter, Kellen said with a grin. Lucella threw her hands in the air. What is it with you people? Is there something in the water that makes you all meal-brained? A clatter came from behind them as Lord Dankfoot fell off his seat and collapsed in an unconscious pile on the floor. Leave it with me, Kellen said as she took the entry slip from Lucella, slipping a war helm over her face to hide her features and lifting Doomcock onto her shoulder. I'll be back with that trophy, and you'll be rewarded, I promise. I won't hold my breath, Lucella shouted after her as Kellen walked off. Apart from, to naturally avoid the smell of horse shit and entrails. Oryx and Hughie sat in the stands, watching the tournament they had happily stumbled across. 2 people fought in a central ring of stone, one with a shield and a mace, and one with a set of gauntlets that were made of pure plasma. This next confrontation is most interesting, said Oryx as he hunched forward in his chair. Do we have any snacks? Hughie pressed a button on his chest panel, his central door opening up to reveal a plate of nachos. With nachos in hand, he twisted a nipple nut to squirt sour cream, then the other nipple nut for a thick drizzle of guacamole. Would you like chunky salsa? Yeah. Oryx started before he thought about where the condiment might come from next. No, thank you, Humi. That will be sufficient.
No cheese on the nachos?
I think the cheese is already on there because they've been in his little chest oven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think you were about to get fired, but I think you saved yourself.
This fellow with mace and shield looks like a tough contender. His competitor has apparently won the last 2 bouts she has competed in. Her gauntlets produce so much heat they can cleave steel in two, Humi declared. This is an anonymous contest, but the crowd have dubbed her Laser Fister.
Great name.
We love you, Laser Fister! A member of the crowd screamed, "Have my babies!" In return, Laser Fister put her hand to her mouth to blow a kiss to the crowd and sliced her face completely in two.
No!
You idiot!
My fight money!
Her body slumped to the floor in a puddle of blood, and a bell rang, and Macy Man was declared the winner, much to his chagrin, as he looked the sort of beefed-up incel that was up for a fight against a woman. In a huffy rage, he put his skinny jeans and muscle-fit T-shirt back on and went to listen to a historical Andrew Tate podcast episode.
Oh my god!
A voice boomed out over the stands. And now, a last-minute change to our first bracket fight. Due to an inebriation-related dropout, coincidentally the terminology used for a prom night dumpster baby, Humi said.
Oh my god!
Before looking at the disgusted face of Oryx, he checked a switch on his back and then flipped it. I see the problem. My poor taste switch was turned on. Apologies. First to enter the ring of pain, a Norn Velataean who, though anonymous, will need no introduction. A stomping of robotic legs resounded around the stands, shaking drinks and nearly spilling Oryx's plate of nachos over the person in front of him. Out from behind a curtain came a monstrosity of technological, humanoid and animal parts. A robo-centaur with a long spear and giant antlers bound around the ring of stones, kicking and stomping. And his competition in our first bracket fight. This page of a competitor that disrespected our noble traditions and couldn't be bothered to show up. The crowd booed as a small, unassuming woman stepped out from behind another curtain, dragging something through the mud behind her. How dare they! Shouted one patron. Disrespected our institutions, called another. I don't know what we're all shouting about, but I'm weak-willed, so we'll hate anything you tell me to hate, shouted another.
Little too close to home.
I predict this fight will be over very quickly, Humi said over the din of the crowd booing and insulting the woman. Oryx tapped his friend on the shoulder, then pointed to the ring. I'm not so sure, Humi. Does that thing she's dragging look familiar to you? The woman flipped the warhammer known as Doomcock around until it was brandished in front of her. Friend Kellen, Humi muttered, before turning to his neighbour and getting his attention. Excuse me, sir, what is the point of this tournament? The spectator tutted. Duh, don't you know this is the tournament to pick the new Wrath? Kellen tried not to piss pants as she stared down this refugee from a Doom video game and waited for the fight to start. The referee, a small droid that somewhat resembled C-3PO but just better, because I'm sick of writing this story now, so I'm not going to bother describing him.
I feel that so deeply.
That definitely happens.
Pointed to the royal box, and Kellen's attention raised with the droid's finger. In the best seats in the house, in a set of seats watching the tournament, was the Amray family. Her mother Etty, her father Corvus, and her once older brother Targus, who was no older than 2 now. Mum? Dad? She whispered, just as the bell rang, and a spear came hurtling towards her. To be continued.
Oh, this is how it's all coming together,
what
man.
The fuck?
Yup.
Alright, it was better than
Here
I thought
we
it
go.
was.
It's almost like Rich plans stories ahead of time where things are
makes him
supposed to
look
go.
Makes him look smart and good.
I'm so glad I entered those. I wasn't going to do the whole Humi and Oryx thing, and then I was like, oh my god, I haven't told a joke for like 2 pages. I better go back and put something in.
Those were great.
Absolutely killed me. So
Can't
fucking
believe
funny.
they killed Kennedy.
Seems a little unnecessary, but all right.
I mean, he was a alien. It would have ended badly.
I'm surprised you didn't add in, like, they zooped out with, like, passes for, like, Flight 93 or something.
Well, I've already told a 9/11 joke this season, so I can't do too many of them.
I'm not sure you could top that one either.
That was so good. Damn, that was so funny.
So yeah, they're responsible for the Roanoke disappearances,
Disappearance.
the Mary Celeste.
To be fair, the
Loch Ness
Roanoke
Monster.
people. To be fair, the Roanoke people did seem to already have something fucking wrong going on
Yeah.
when they arrived.
I
Yeah,
didn't have enough anything.
they got taken
They were
over
like-
by some sort of demon. Yes,
Yeah, they
you're
were
right.
like demonic zombies when they arrived. I can't believe that Hume, out of the two of them, was the Loch Ness Monster.
He's the one with the 3D printer. He's the one who gets to decide the costumes.
Also, I'm really I'm picturing Hume as like fairly tall or whatever, but then he has like the extremely long plesiosaur neck,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and the head
huge
is
head.
dangling at the top of.
with a tiny little face hole at the bottom of the neck.
Little fucking eye hole.
Yeah.
That
was great.
You had nothing to worry about. That was an amazing episode.
Yeah.
I will say that, like you, I fucking have hated writing this episode. Like, genuinely had to sit down in like 5 or 6 like periods and write it because I just couldn't get anything off the ground. It felt like.
I wouldn't say that I hated it. I had a really hard time with
Sometimes I hate when I'm doing it. I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah,
but
sometimes
I
I
never got
do.
5 or 6 periods from it, so I don't know what
sometimes
that's about.
sometimes I do finish a story and I'm like, well, that fucking sucks. But this time it just took me so long to get what's in my head on the page, and I didn't think I did a great job doing it.
Yeah, you
So I
just
feel
hit a
it.
wall, man. You just wind up hitting that wall.
Well, I was saying like to you guys midweek that like I have just got to the point where I'm ready for the next season.
Which is a shame because we do have 6 episodes.
Yeah. I'm just going to drop this story like a stone and just write a 6-episode miniseries.
It's almost like it makes sense that shows now only have like 10 episodes.
Yeah.
It's like almost like they know.
Yeah.
Maybe we could talk about new and exciting directions for the podcast in the future when we're not
and exciting-
recording the podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
Directions.
All right. Okay. So 2 parts done. 1 left. I was going to say 3 left. That is a
One story that was okay. One story that Rich wrote that was great. Will Josh do the dopest story ever?
Experts say no.
So come back for part 3.
I'm really selling it.
welcome back. The part you were waiting for, the last bit.
The show's almost over. Just buckle in.
Yeah, we're on the slow decline. And it's Josh's turn, which is not a coincidence that we're on the slow decline.
Wow.
God damn!
I said it's not a coincidence.
Yeah, what? Yeah,
Well, that's the bad one of the two choices.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I meant the other one. Now I see why you said
Oh my
that.
god. Get your fucking head out of your quooker, dude.
This dude is so caught up on fucking boiling water out of the tap that he can't
gotta
even do
talk
the
about
podcast.
Rich's fucking boiling water tap that he's getting. Because, like, this is beyond... All right, we'll talk about
Isn't
that later.
that something that would be in like a fucking like wizard's house, like a like a witch's house?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't give Reese's what he wants, he's not living here. I'm just saying that.
Never owned a quooker.
He can boil it just by looking at it.
Yes. It's called magic, you fucking putz.
It's called a kettle.
It's called a kettle, you fucking bougie bitch.
Anyway, read a story.
All right, my story was gonna be called Say Cheese and Die, but now it's called Rich Ruins All My Titles. Fuck you, Rich.
No, you've got to call it Say Cheese and Die. Mine's not
I'm gonna
called Say
write
Cheese
that.
and
Rich ruins my fucking titles. Fuck you, Rich.
Like, I'm happy as long as the story has a title.
The morning air was drier than yo mama's vertical crotch mouth as the suns rose on the desolate wasteland that was Darnos. Gunk yawned and stretched his arms wide and smoothly held Axewound closer to him. Axewound was still sleeping, but the dry air mixed with the stench of the trash pile they had boned on the night before wouldn't keep her asleep for long.
Die. Nice. Romantic.
God, it smells like your mama's vertical crotch mouth after she used to gargle the entire 1985 Bears defense's jock straps after they were boiled in a giant Looney Tunes style pot for some reason. I don't fucking know. Axewound gagged.
Did they use a quooker tap?
You should have used a quooker for that.
Quooker.
Honestly.
I mean, if I had known yesterday, I would have wrote it. Good morning, my completely real girlfriend who is hot and who I didn't make up this time, Gunk said with a huge smile. All right, Axewound stood up completely buck-ass wild naked as a not-quite-yet-dead Automabot let out a wolf whistle. Let's get one thing straight, dwarf, she said as she put her hands on her totally breedable hips. Is that a compliment people like to hear? Write to toonhounds@gmail.com with your opinion. Or just any opinions whatsoever.
Yay.
Politics, religion.
Quooker taps.
Quooker taps. We are not boyfriend and girlfriend, she said firmly, almost gagging again, but this time not from the stench, but from the phrase she just uttered. If anything, I am your dommy mommy mistress master who uses you for hot dwarf dick. Isn't that pretty much the same thing? Gunk said with a wink. Axewound rolled her eyes. Anyway, she began to say, but she stumbled. She held her head and closed her eyes as she stumbled backwards. Meanwhile, up in a dead tree, a skeletal merc-monk burst out of his dilapidated merc-monk treehouse and began to do the Arsenio Hall whoop with his arm. Damn, boy, you two were fucking going at it last night, he said, as he was now doing the suck-it thing from wrestling. You both are going to have to take 2 birth control potions today because the way you were going at it, I'm certain one or both of you are now pregnant with octuplets. Shit! I'm pretty sure I should take one just from hearing the two of you humping like you was trying to repopulate the earth. Yup, the monk went on. That sure is one loving boyfriend and girlfriend if I ever saw one. You make a cute boyfriend/girlfriend couple. If I had to put my money on it, I'd say you two were destined to be together forever. What with the insane amount of threeing you two did last night, it's like I always say, the love you take is equal to the amount of 3 you make, and then plaster all over your totally real girlfriend's face and entire upper and lower body, the merc monk finished. Just then, a bone eagle swooped down and plucked him from his tree. You better put a ring on that breedable ass bitch! he screamed as the bone eagle took him over the horizon.
That is a compliment that everyone loves. Breedable.
Yeah.
Breedable. I guess we really did go to town on each other last night, Gunk said, blushing. No, you idiot, Axwood sighed. If anything, a raucous, earth-shattering fuck sesh would have restored my energy. But I've been using magic in this realm like I put in the Konami code and had infinite ammo. Gunk pretended to know what that meant and nodded as he touched his chin. If we don't... Axwood stumbled again. If we don't get back to the master, I'll be useless as tits on a snake man, even though Seth looks really good with those new scaling double H hangers.
I'd vote for him.
All right, Gunk said with determination as he forcefully zipped up his fly. We have to get you somewhere where at least you can recharge. Get some water, if we can find any, Gunk said, looking around as his eyes met the gaze of a cattle skull and it winked at him. Which might be difficult, he conceded. Axwound was now sweating a cold sweat. What the hell was going on with her? If anything, the wild butt thrusting and peen juicing of last night should have given her a boost. But it didn't. She was now feeling more hungover than a sorority girl during Slut Week.
Wow.
That's a little on the nose.
You never went to Slut Week? It's great.
Oh, every week's Slut Week at my house.
Damn, I'm coming over. She did siphon some of Gunk's energy, right? She racked her brain. No, the only way she wouldn't have done that is if she let out an audible gulp. If she actually liked him.
Oh, no.
The thought made her rich like a Slut Week freshman.
Jeff?
Yup.
Look, I've been at this long enough. I am no longer a freshman.
Yeah,
at it
Slut Week
long
senior.
Oh, I'm senior in every way you can think of.
Gunk grabbed Axwood and held her up. She steadied herself and looked down at him. You, she said, sounding intoxicated. You are cute, she said as she flicked his dwarf nose. All right, Gunk said with a laugh. Let's get you moving and maybe find you, something. Any idea which way we should be headed? The fastest way between 2 points on a globe is teleportation, baby! Woo! Axwin said as she flashed her boobs to nobody. This guy knows what I'm talking about, she said as she pointed to the same cow's skull. Can you muster enough magical power to teleport us? Skunk asked, knowing the answer already. Can you muster enough magical shut up to teleport that dick into my mouth, big boy? She said, stumbling forward again. Wow. Normally this would be really funny and even kind of weirdly cute, but I'm pretty sure we're going to die out here if we can't get somewhere that has civilization, so shut up, Axwood said, listing from side to side. She then produced a single finger and drew the shape of a cock and balls complete with ball hair and began to mimic filleting it while she pointed down at Gunk's junk. Okay, let's go, Gunk said, pulling her arm. Hours later, they were still walking. Axwood was not getting any more coherent, nor was she getting any less white girl drunk. 21,000 dicks in my mouth, 21,000 dicks, suck one down, slosh it around, 20,999 dicks in my mouth, she sang as the suns were now setting.
The classic Darren Ocean song.
Gunk set up a fire and laid Axwood down as she was now getting worse. She shivered and was sweating profusely. Even though the suns were down and the desert air was sure to get cold, it was not nearly cold enough to shiver. She began to mumble incoherently about your mother and how she watched your said mother gobble down so many dicks that it, quote, was like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. Gunk stayed up and began to carve a rudimentary spear out of a dead tree branch. He held the tip to the fire to harden it. As he did, he felt Axwound's forehead. She was hot. Like, not attractive hot, but actually hot. She was also attractive hot, too, though, so if you didn't get that by now, Don't worry. When we start selling posters of her, they'll come with a protective laminate covering, an optional hole in the crotch for you really sick perverts who listen. So basically all of you.
Shame on every single fucking one of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe you'd fucking poster.
How does that even work logistically, you fucking freaks?
I'll fucking show you. I mean, they'll show you. Gunk was awoken by the hootin' and hollerin' that only a raiding party could muster. He stood up quickly and grabbed for his spear. As he did, he saw dozens of boner cycles doing burnouts and wheelies and breakies in the desert sands encircling he and Axewound. Axewound was now past the F out. She was dead to the world and totally dope. and the totally dope showing of amazing boner cycle tricks going on around her. I mean, you'd have to pay money to see this shit in our type of world. Get back! Gunk yelled as he poked at a nearby boner cyclist. The spear pierced their side as they fell off the bike and howled in pain on the ground, and then started doing a sick breakdance move because these riders were high as fuck. Grab the hot one! Yelled a raider in a mask. You'll never take me, Gunk said defiantly. I said grab the hot one, not grab the short idiot with an inflated sense of self-confidence.
Got him.
Gunk, a little hurt by this, held his spear at the ready and stood over Axewood. She had rescued him from that weird witch, and he wasn't going to let anything happen to his new, totally real and totally hot girlfriend. Just then, everything went blank as Gunk's head hit a rock on the ground. Above him stood a 7-foot-tall ogre who was using an old parking meter as a club. Not so pretty now, the orc said, smiling. As Gunk blinked his eyes open, he saw the raiders cycling away with Axewound tied up to the back of the leader's bike. He reached out his metallic hand and tried to will himself awake, but it was too late. The tunnel vision was setting in, and soon everything was black. Gunk awoke the next morning with nothing but sand and dust in his mouth. He spit out as much as he could, along with several whole partial teeth. He squinted and tried to focus. On the red blood as it hit the sand. What happened? He said to himself, and then he remembered. My totally real girlfriend, he shouted as he stood up. His spear was broken in half, and a trail of boner cycle tracks were slowly being washed away by the winds of the wasteland. Gunk gathered up all he could and made his way to the direction he thought he remembered the caravan of misfits going. He traveled for days, only eating lizards and bones of skeletal merc monks who probably were actually still sentient. Finally, on the third day, he thought he heard thunder in the distance and held his ear to the ground. He said, listening. I have no idea what I'm doing. But he pressed on in the general direction of the noise. Finally, he reached an ancient and long abandoned sports field. All along the edges, raiders had fortified the fence, adding their flair. Skulls, spikes, flaming skulls, and cool S's covered the walls. Inside, Gunk could hear the cheers of 1,000 people. With one dope leap, he used his strength to straight up jump over the fence. Nothing could stop him. As he walked through the tunnel onto the field, he could hear the Humpty Dance blaring from all speakballs around the stadium.
Dance, here's your chance to do the hump.
On the throne near the end of the field, he saw a one-eyed cat man with raider armor and a steel warhammer. His gray fur glistened his gray fur glistened in the suns as he was fawned over by the crowd. The crowd of raiders were smashing kegs on their heads and pissing in corners and ball-tapping each other. Silence! Bellowed the cat man. It appears we have a new contestant. The cat man pointed the warhammer directly at Gunk as Gunk gulped. Perhaps he would like to participate in the greatest sporting tournament in the wasteland, shouted the cat leader. The crowd went nuts and at least 4 burly bitches flashed him. Some of them had like 6 goddamn titties. Who the hell are you? Gunk shouted up at the cat man. I am Ken Thunderclaw, leader of the Free Raiders Union number 42069 and MC of this most sacred tournament. You speak Daranosian? Gunk asked. Yes, and you, a dwarf, appear to bathe regularly, Ken snapped. See, I can be racist and insensitive, too. Words have meanings, dwarf.
It's a good lesson for all you fucking sicko listeners out there. If you'd fuck a poster, you'd be racist to a dwarf. Don't pretend.
Poster humpers, man. Just then, 2 huge ogres wheeled out a cello on wheels with axe wound tied up Jesus style. A single loincloth covered her naughty bits. A single loincloth covered her naughty bits and boobies like in those comics. Axe, Gunk said under his breath. He clenched his metal fists. Tell them what our lucky winners will receive, Bryce, Ken said, as he swooped a hand over toward a hobbit wearing tin cans as headphones and speaking into an all-speak ball. Our winners this evening will receive either this slightly used and road-tied magical sorority hooker, or they'll receive this lovely 3/4 of a cheese wheel that our lovely raiders found in an old cellar.
Yay!
The crowd went nuts at the sight of the cheese wheel that had substantial mold covering it and stink lines coming off of it. Gunk even swore he heard a foghorn sound effect when he looked at it. I'm in, Gunk shouted as the crowd went silent. I see the cheese has caught your eye, Ken said.
Oh, ding. Shit.
I'm gonna win that cheese and eat it, shouted an orc wearing a chainmail thong. The only stinky cheese you're gonna get is the stanky cheese of my fastball at the company picnic next week, Gordon, shouted a troll. We all know you've been juicing, Quincy, Gordon the orc yelled back. I told you I wasn't injecting nothing into my scrot. I was testing out my new penis pump. Yeah, that's what I was doing. Quincy made up on the spot.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
That's slightly less embarrassing.
Isn't it? I don't know. Our first competition, Ken Thunderclaw said, interrupting the stupidest argument ever had, is bobbing for bat balls. The crowd cheered as another group of orcs wheeled out large kegs full of live bapples. Their wings frantically flapped as they tried to escape their watery prisons. Gunk could hear them screeching and scratching the sides of the wooden kegs. Gunk got in line as the raiders tied each contestant's hands behind their back. Gunk had a distinct advantage since he was just at the right height to reach into the keg, but the thought of putting a live bapple in his mouth was not one that he relished. He had to make sure he didn't bite into one completely. There was no telling if even drinking some of his bapple water would turn him into a chair. He had to try, though, for axe wound. 1, 2, 3, go! Ken shouted.
This is terrifying in universe, by the way. You listen to this, like, what are they talking about? It's terrifying in universe.
The crowd cheered as each contestant shoved his or her head into the bapple-infested barrel. Gunk grabbed one gingerly with his chompers, and he used his neck muscles to fling the bapple out of the keg with one swift motion. He felt the water enter his mouth as he tried not to swallow, but after a second of not turning into a chair, he figured it was safe. His counterpart to his left was not so lucky, though. A human female with only a handful of teeth couldn't resist biting into the juicy flesh of the bapple as she immediately turned into a mid-century handmade wooden rocker. She walked back and forth with rage as she was immediately disqualified. Gunk threw bapples 3 and 4 out of the keg when Ken blew the finish whistle. Ah, farts, I only got 4, Gunk said, disappointed. Seeing as every other contestant has now a chair, I name Dwarf the winner, Ken said with a flourish of his hammer. The crowd booed as the raiders brought an old bone pickup and loaded the chairs on the back and sent them to the fire pit.
They don't need chairs? Damn.
They just use them for firewood and shit. Our next event, Ken shouted, the hot dog eating contest. Again, the crowd roared with joy.
These fucking evil raiders.
Some even started jerking off uncontrollably because they were not used to social situations and not brought up right. Once again, raiders brought out a table full of fingers? Gunk looked at the new competitors next to him and said, these are fingers. Yeah, Quincy said, giving him an incredulous look. That's what hot dogs are, idiot, he said as he scoffed and looked down at this pile of dismembered fingers. The trick is to swallow the bones whole, Gordon said, licking his orc lips. Just the thought of the hot dogs was making him salivate. Just like Ma used to make, he said, licking his fingers. Ready, steady, get going already, shouted Ken as he blew a giant starting trombone. I don't know. One after one, Gunk watched Quincy and Gordon consume the fingers of God knows who and God knows what. The blood spurted from their mouths as they ate their hot dogs like they had been starving themselves for days, which they probably were, since this place is fucked up to all shit.
Wow.
Gunk grabbed a single finger and sniffed it. Fuck this, he said, dropping it. I ain't eating no finger. For all I know, this finger was fingering someone's slutty-ass mom last night, Gunk said, looking directly into the camera.
That's 3 in a row, by the way, of looking directly into the camera.
That's right.
Hive mind.
Better hurry, dwarf, Ken shouted over the cheers. I'll give you fingers, Gunk said to himself, and then he harnessed all of his chi and made a karate chop hand with his new mechanical hand. He breathed in and out, focusing his dwarven chi like Krillin does in DBZ. Then with a single chop, he slammed his karate chop hand down onto Quincy's table, severing all but one of his fingers on his right hand. Gah! Quincy shouted. That's my good eating hand, he cried, as blood splurted forth in rhythm with his heartbeat. Now, how am I gonna pitch next weekend? He whined as he held his hand over toward Gordon, spraying his face with blood. I guess I lose this one, Gunk said, crossing his arms. Ken frowned as he watched all those precious fingers go to waste. Shame, but it looks like Gordon wins this one, Ken said as the crowd erupted for the hometown orc. Our final competition this evening, the gelatinous cube sack race! Ken air guitared into his hammer as the crowd was in a fervor. Yet again, raiders wheeled out what appeared to be dehydrated gelatinous cubes that had been stretched into sack-like shape. Oh. They wheezed and belched as dust flew out of their mouths, their sack holes. We have dehydrated them so that they will only slowly consume your flesh and bodily fluids, Ken began to expositionally explain. But if you do not reach the finish line, they will have consumed enough of your fluids to rehydrate, and then... Ken motioned over to Bryce, the announcer, who was now using a soundboard. Uh-oh, boring. Bryce said with his soundboard. Gunk slowly stuck one foot into a pink cube. Its insides were sticky, but it didn't feel like burning his flesh. He held up his foot and saw that only a small bit of steam was coming off of his boot. Beside him, Quincy was holding onto the cube with his left hand as a bloody rag covered his pitching/eating hand. Gordon was all the way on the right, ready to go. Time to sack up, boys, Ken said as he fired a flare into the sky, which exploded into a pair of huge bright tits, and with that, they were off. Gunk used his newfound mechanical strength to will the cube forward faster than the others, but Gordon was hot on his tail. The orc was strong and big, but that might be his weakness, too, Gunk thought. More muscles equals more meat juice for the cubes to ingest. Quincy was dead last, urging the cube forward and begging. Come on, baby cube, I need this, he cried. His blue cube merely belched and slumped over. Soon steam began to pour out of the cube's sack hole. Now, Quincy shouted as he tried to leap out of the cube's mouth. As he pried his way out, Quincy looked down to see that half of his body was now a skeleton. He wiggled his toes and they made a tiny xylophone sound as they twinkled in motion. This fucking blows, Quincy said as he laid down and died from massive blood and body loss.
The worst way to go, body loss.
Yeah.
Lost some of your body. Gordon was now right on Gunk's tail. Gunk looked back to see a lot of smoke pouring out of Gordon's sack cube. Gordon screamed as he pushed his cube forward. Gunk then felt the sizzle of hot, fiery acid hit his foot. The sensation intensified as it made his way up his ankle to his knees and to his thighs. But it was too late. Gordon was not slowing down as only a pair of hands remained. Gordon was now slowing down as only a pair of hands remained attached to a now full orc skeleton piloting a cube set. Gordon's cube stopped and slithered back into itself, fully rehydrated now, as it let out a belch and spat out Gordon's skull. Fuck! Gordon's skull said right before it too died forever, probably. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
The mechanics of skeletons living or not living in this universe are dubious at best.
It's really like a shot. It's like
not
an
an exact
roll of
science.
dice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can happen to any of us.
Let that be the lesson you take away from this podcast. Live your life every day because you could turn into a skeleman.
And
You're
don't
going to turn into a... Yeah.
and don't fuck posters.
Don't fuck posters unless you buy them
You
from us.
filthy, degenerate, potentially
case you can-
skeleton demon people.
You can do whatever you want if you buy it from us.
That's true.
Gunk crossed the finish line and immediately jumped out of the pink cube's mouth. He patted himself and made sure to check his bits were still there. The crowd laughed as he jumped into a trough and sighed in relief. As he stood up, everyone saw his twig and berries in full daylight as the cube had burned off all of his pantaloons. Looks like we have 3 suns out today, Ken said to the laughter of the crowd. Well, it's my honor to offer you this. 1 whole 3/4 of a cheese wheel. We found in a cellar, dwarf, Ken said, holding up the cheesy trophy. I don't think so, Gunk said, now more confident than ever. He looked over at Axewound in the cage and used his mechanical arms to great effect as he go-go gadgeted his arms outward toward the cage. He pried the bars open and broke the lock on the door as he threw the cage at Ken Thunderclaw. This is an outrage, Ken said as the crowd began to boo. Bryce! Wait, this is Gunk. Bryce, Gunk said, shouting up toward the announcer. Hit it! With that, the Hobbit put on Come On Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot. Gunk staged a raider riot that was anything but quiet.
Nice.
Nice.
That's poetry.
Yeah. Gunk flung ogres and orcs and trolls and humies all over the place. With his bare hands, he snapped the neck of the entire company softball team, ensuring that the game next weekend was going to have to be postponed indefinitely. One of the burly raider women sitting in the front row didn't even see Gunk coming as he grabbed the bottom of her seat and closed the entire seat onto her body, sandwiching herself into the seat. Her blood poured down the stairs as she slowly died. Her last words were, "Totally fucking awesome," and then she death rattled. Finally, covered in the blood of 100 raiders, Gunk made his way up toward Ken's throne. His lungs were on fire. He panted in the hot suns, his lungs gasping for air as his heart pumped rage blood into every muscle of his body. Ken backed away slowly and held out his warhammer. Take it, Ken stammered. You're the captain now. Gunk grabbed the hammer with a clang of his metallic hand, and with that, Ken was off running. Later, suckers, gotta get me! He shouted as he ran over the horizon. Gunk grabbed Axewound. Her limp body was cold, but she was still alive, barely. He grabbed the cheese wheel and slowly crumbled some of the disgusting solidified tit juice into her mouth.
Ugh.
Wow.
She slowly ate and began to come back to a normal-ish state. Hey, cutie pants, she said, still sounding drunk. Hey, drunky pants, Gunk laughed. Axewound gasped as she saw the old hunk of cheese in Gunk's hand. Did you get this for me? She said, squealed in excitement. Yes, eat it so that you can be not annoying as fuck, please. Gunk smiled. Thank you, boyfriend, Axewound said as she hogged down the moldy old cheese. Finn!
What a beautiful love story.
Yeah.
Full of murder and cheese.
And jizz cube sacks.
And just cubes.
Dude, I do love how the tournament was not a combat tournament. It was like a field day at middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ultimate tournament. Field day.
Oh, man. That ruled.
It was great. Oh, three
My throat
mentions...
hurts so bad.
Yeah, so 3 mentions of looking at the camera is a little too much, guys.
Is it?
We all three hive-minded for once. I'm relishing it.
If the fucking Office can do it, we can do it. We're funnier than the Office.
We're all gymming at the camera. We're all jacking and gymming this week.
And they tried to do that in like the first season of Parks and Rec, and they were like, "Why are we doing this? This is dumb."
You know, they did that for the entirety of the show. Fucking the whatever family. Fuck the blended family one with Ed O'Neill on it. Shit, Modern Family.
Oh. Yeah, Modern Family.
They don't like in the first episode. They have an offhand comment about them doing a documentary, and then no one ever mentions it again for 8 seasons.
It's stupid because it's like just like they like that bit, and then they just needed to force it into the show, right? Like, I don't know. Just have them look at the camera. Who cares? Just don't even acknowledge it.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Can't possibly do the sensible thing. What are you thinking? That? The sensible thing of forget it.
It's a great story.
I've got no talking about sensibility, and he's got a fucking faucet that boils his water for him.
Yeah, I mean,
how many chimneys you got now? How many fireplaces we talking?
Wait a minute, I haven't got any new fireplaces. There's the standard. Wait a minute, let me count. 1, 2, 3.
There's the junior, there's the queen size.
After you got past 1, there was a problem here.
I think he was born into it. I think like most British royalty, he inherited the fireplaces.
6.
Jesus. Are you counting the one in the kitchen as not working because
Yeah. I'm counting all. Only one works.
This is a disgusting flex of wealth on our podcast.
Mate, it's not. I didn't put them in.
The rich getting richer, you know what I mean?
The rich masters getting rich masters.
Look, I didn't put them in. They were already there. I'm not.
Sounds colonial to me. I didn't displace them. They were already displaced.
I'm almost certain that your dowry was 6 fucking fireplaces. You brought them into the marriage.
His dowry.
Dowry.
What does Lord Masters require of Miss Rachel?
Apparently some
like
fireplaces.
Fucking contract negotiation.
How many fireplaces do you have, Rachel? Because I got 6.
She must make his tea and also 7 fireplaces, no less.
To be fair, we moved into the house together. It wasn't my house first.
This all seems like such an excuse to me.
All right.
I fucking suck a dead man's dick for 1 fireplace, and this guy's got 7.
I mean, you can borrow one of mine.
Yeah, how much that's gonna cost?
I'll tell you what, I'll bequeath you one. No,
Don't queef on
I'm
one.
not queefing. I knew you were going to say that.
he be queefing.
He beef queefed them.
Bequeath.
Anyway.
There we go. Right, so with that, we're going to close the cover.
Somebody got some stinky on the book.
On today's episode, let's pick some prompts. Okay, let's bring out the all prompt C-ball. Without any no sound effects today. Okay.
Nope.
Plump.
There it is. I was doing something. I was being proactive. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Oh, I already looked up the reviews to talk about later.
Oh,
Shit, yeah.
Great. Okay. The first one is Signposts by Red Baron.
What?
Signposts.
Okay, that
By
should
the
be fairly
Red Baron
easy for
from
me.
Yeah.
World War II?
And the next one is Underworlds by... Is that Axe Wizard? Yeah, it's Axe Wizard.
You already have
no.
Underworld in your story.
Yeah. Well...
Yeah. Fresh.
Yeah, boss.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. That would... Can I just... Hold on. Let me just check that is from... Because this is Axe Wizard. Yeah, from Axe Wizard. Good old Axe Wizard.
Thank you,
Right.
Axe Wizard.
Okay. So, if you heard those prompts and you thought, man, I could never be as good as those people. Well, it turns out, for a little bit of money, you can. Head over to patreon.com/storylords, and for as little as $5 a month, you can suggest prompts to us. You can join a Discord full of people that talk about cool shit and sometimes give us feedback on our stories, sometimes don't.
So bitter.
Very better.
There's also a writing club in there of people who are writing their own stories using the prompts, which I think is pretty fucking sick. So if you want to get in on that.
They also run a Story Lords based Space Kings that they meet. I don't know how often they meet. I was gonna say a time they met, and I was like, I don't know. They meet occasionally.
They set the dates based on people's availability.
Yes, yeah. They also talk a lot about comics and cartoons and all sorts of cool shit. There's no douchebags in there, and it's just a nice place to be.
Not until we visit.
Yeah, well...
Yeah.
So...
You are what you eat. What?
All that
What?
for $5 a month. For $10. For double that. But, still not a massive amount. You get access to all the side podcasts we do as well. So that's redesigned by committee, and also the other one that we do that is just us talking shit called Afterlords.
Yeah.
And then for $25, you get all of that, all the things I've mentioned before, and the book when we get mentioned in the book when we get it, and a creator credit, and a PDF of the book. It's just a no-brainer, guys. Just
No
send
brainer.
money. Send money to us.
You're losing money by not doing.
Yeah, you're definitely losing respect.
It's such a value. You're losing money by not doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So, if you want any information about the podcast, you can head over to storylords.card.co with 2 R's or storylords.page. You can leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Jeff, have we got any new reviews this week?
No.
God damn it.
We do.
Oh, okay. Take back my cursing.
We have a review here from AJMKE. I would never try to pronounce that because it's not a word.
Okay.
And it's entitled "The Only Good Part of Having to Commute Again."
Hey.
Nice. It was a good 3 years while it lasted working from home, but listening to laughing before and after the workday is extremely helpful. Each episode has been extremely entertaining. I didn't care for all the mom slams, but I guess that's what happens when the quote-unquote mother figures we know have been sexually suplexed more times than an 80s WWF jobber. 5 stars.
Oh, she's jobbing all right.
That is a fucking incredible review.
That was great. That was good.
That was good, man. Did we have one?
No, that's it. We're still sitting at a pretty 5 stars out of 5 stars here.
Oh,
excellent.
fuck yeah.
If you're listening, you haven't done a review already, it would really help us out. We read them all. So, even if it's just it doesn't have to be a particularly funny one. It could be a nice one. It could just be what you feel about the story or the podcast, rather. Just go and leave us a review. It would be really helpful. Let's read the patrons. So, as always, thank you to Henry Roselar, who's the king of patrons, Anthony Stoker, Federico Rodriguez, Heath Robinson, Jonathan Anderson, Pez King, Sarah Kemp, Sean Tabor, Squid Ludwig, Stephen, Werewolf Bar Mitzvah. And a big thank you to, who am I going to pick this week as one of the big Lifetime fans?
Josh
I'm going
Henderson.
to pick Austin Logan, who has been a fan of ours since November 4th, 2022. So pretty much since the beginning. Thank you, Austin. You rock too.
Thank you, Austin Logan. Sick ass last name.
Yeah.
Stone Cold
That guy,
Steve
Wolverine.
Austin and Wolverine had a baby.
Yeah.
Big thank you, as always, for all of the music for the podcast for Vidazen. You rock. If you want to find out anything about Vidazen, included... Why are you laughing?
Just, Vidazen, you rock.
He does.
He does rock, but I don't know. I just pictured you like being interviewed at his concert, and you're like, "I love Vitizen, you rock."
I looked down at my Vitizen Rocks T-shirt and I was like,
Of course.
what am I gonna say? Oh, there it is.
It's like the shirt that Beavis and Butthead wear. It just says Vitizen rocks across.
You can find anything about Greg and his band and his music releases at vitizen.card.co with 2 R's. Do we want to talk about anything else?
Yeah. Actually, wait. When does this episode come out? It comes out the 1st.
Never mind.
Well, by the 1st, the Trek Boy Pride pledge drive will be over. Hopefully, when you're listening to this, you can go to give.thetrevorproject.org/mclasspodcast and see that we destroyed last year's goal, and it was sick as fuck, and we all had a great time. Yeah. If not, don't fucking tell me about it. We gave him a bunch. It's cool.
You're well over your last year's target, right?
No.
No.
I thought you were.
We did like
Don't jinx
12. We did 1285 last year or something.
Oh, okay.
So it was like a banner ass year last year.
Yeah.
So if we don't quite make it, it'll still be great as long as
Yeah.
we can give them a big chunk of money at the end of the month. And honestly, at any point during the year, you can go to give.thetrevorproject.org/mclasspodcast and donate money. It does not have to be during the drive. And it all gets added to the same lump total of what we've raised ever since we've started campaigning for them. So it'll make us look good, it'll make you look good, and it'll help out the Trevor Project. And really, aren't those the 3 most important things on planet Earth?
Not particularly.
Not in that order.
No. No one suggested that. How long have you guys been doing it now? It's 4 years, isn't it?
I think so.
It's either 3 or 4.
I think it's 4.
I think
I
it
thought
is
it was
4. Yeah.
A lot of money raised.
Yeah, almost $5,000 at this
Yeah.
point.
That's really cool.
Sweet.
Which is
And you can
pretty
be a
fucking
part
sick.
of that. Not you two, because you
also-
already are.
If you have extra money, I guess, you could commission me, jeffpennington.art. You can email me through the link section. There's several links that you can email me through. Just hit me up, contact@jeffpennington.art, and we can talk about making art for you for anything. I'm open for like longer term contract work, making art for like video games or comics or like design, doing like design work for whatever you have available. Every dollar I get goes straight to me not living on the street.
Yay!
Hard to do a podcast on the street.
If you want Jeff to design you a Story Lords t-shirt, maybe you should commission him to do that. He can do t-shirt
be wild.
designs.
That would be wild.
Yes.
I guess at this point, like, we have 2 options when it comes to t-shirts. Is that we can do like a Teespring style like ready make service where whoever you can order a shirt and it'll come to you from there. But it might not be like the greatest quality in the world. Or I can do pre-orders and see if there's any way I could get the shirts printed locally on something nicer, and it'll cost more, of course.
Yeah.
And then ship them out to you, which is something I don't know if I have the capability of doing, but I guess we'll see. We'll fucking see
Or,
where it goes.
You know, if you want a particular design, commission Jeff to do a design, and then you can take that design and have it printed on whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Like once you commission me,
T-shirts, stickers, a tattoo on your butt.
Yeah.
like once you commission me, you can do whatever you want with the art as long as you're not making money off of it.
Yeah.
And if you want to make money off of it, we can talk about that too.
Damn.
There you go.
Wheeling and dealing.
Literally, the world is your Jeff Pennington commission oyster.
I don't know
Right.
what that means.
They can do...
Way to take my idea, Rich. How can I have it make an oyster?
Josh, where can people find out information about your action figure stuff, please?
You can go to my Instagram, instagram.com/field1983. I think I'm on that new thing too. What is it
Kara.
called?
Kara.
Kara.
Yeah, I think you're Field 1983 on there as well, which is like Instagram is chock full of AI horse shit at this point. Follow Josh on Kara.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take pictures of toys and make them do things.
Well, he also does custom printing and design on those toys as well.
Yeah,
It's not as perverted as he made it sound, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately.
But you're doing a...
Commission Jeff to draw you a picture, and I'll make action figures do it, all right?
Wow. You are doing a Doots-inspired figure at the moment.
Yeah, it's almost done.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's very good.
I haven't had time lately, but it's sitting right here. I'm looking right at it. It's pretty cool.
It's got a cool keytar, man.
Follow 2 out of 3 of us on Kara.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't follow Rich because he's not on.
He's not. It would be very strange if you followed him somehow.
I will eventually do it and put the artwork I've done on there because I've probably done a lot of
You really
artwork.
should. That would be really
I'm gonna
awesome.
beat you to it and be you. It's me, Rich Rathers. Here's my fucking sink. It boils water.
Just take
It's like
pictures
there's
of my
2
quick
of them in the
attacks.
room with me.
You can't tell. Shoot the fake one, Jeff.
Oh, God.
I'm the real one.
How many fireplaces have you got, fake Rich?
Logic bomb. Logic puzzle.
6, you little bitch.
I thought it was 7.
I think
No.
the fake Rich is the real Rich. Oh, my Kara name, by the way, is just Jeff. It would be very easy to find me. It's just Jeff.
Easy.
I love it so much.
And you can always listen to M-Class Podcast, Toonhounds, and anything else we're on. I suppose this one. You're already listening to this one. With that, we are going to say goodbye. We will see you in 2 weeks for more Storylords goodness. Bye!
Bye.